In the meantime, we have the State of the Union show tonight. And this is itself, ladies and gentlemen, yet another opportunity. I mean, look what Obama's going to do. His official guest is going to be a Syrian refugee. Not some hero that the seat has traditionally been occupied by since Reagan started this tradition after the airline crash, Palm 90, Air Florida, into the Potomac. And one of the rescuers was highlighted by Reagan, invited to watch the State of the Union show, and he was pointed out. Ever since then, every State of the Union address has featured a hero of some kind, depending on the president and his attitude toward heroism. And I guess Syrian refugees representing illegal immigrants are now the heroes of the hour because they will be represented tonight. In addition to that, there's going to be an empty seat. There will be an empty seat in the First Lady's seating area, the First Lady's box, whatever they call it up there, in the viewing gallery at the House chamber. And the empty seat is to represent the 4,000 victims of gun violence in this country. And the president's going to point all of this out. And once again, we have a State of the Union address tonight where the president, his last one, is going to give it his best shot in pointing out what all the problems are. You know what you're going to see on display tonight? You're going to see the Limbaugh theorem on display like you've never seen it. He's the president in his 8th year. Describe problems in this country that have only worsened during his tenure, his 7 years that he's been in office. You're going to hear those problems detailed as though they trace back to George W. Bush. Those problems are going to be things that currently exist that he will have had nothing to do with. He's going to give a speech tonight that will be reminiscent of a campaign speech he would give before the election in 2008. You mark my words. Limbaugh theorem on total display tonight, where Obama will list and detail all of these problems as though he has yet to take any action on fixing them. All the problems we've got, ignoring the fact that most of them have his fingerprints on them. Legacy building within the minds and bodies of the low-information voter. The Politico is all over the place today. I can't wait to get to the two stories they have on Trump. You talk about contradictory. But before we get to those, the Politico has an article today with the headline, Obama struggling to get attention for the State of the Union. Struggling to get attention? I don't know. When I turn on cable news, I've got it on two monitors here. I see one network practically wall-to-wall on it and doing a countdown for the last 2 days on how many hours remain before the thing starts. I have read a bunch in the drive-by media that are practically have their tongues on the floor in eager anticipation, waiting for the State of the Union address, the big and final What do you mean, Politico? Obama struggling to get attention? In the real world, Obama would not want much attention to a honest State of the Union speech tonight. Does Obama really want Americans to think about the State of the Union? If they did, might write him out of town on a rail. But instead, he's going to do a State of the Union speech. I mean, it'll feature all of his great achievements. And he will have details on how the country's never been better and never better positioned. But he can't help himself. He will also start ripping and criticizing and pointing fingers. And that's where the Limbaugh theorem will be on display, where Obama will start talking about things that he's had 7 years to deal with and has tried to fix certain things. They've only gotten worse. The presidency's an abject failure in one sense. It's an abject failure in the sense that liberalism has failed. There is no utopia. There is no growing economy. There is no expanding welfare or expanding private sector job base. There is no expanding pool of wealth. People are not doing better economically. There are not great careers and jobs to be found out there. Obamacare is an absolute mess and disaster. American foreign policy is an embarrassment. He's a total failure in representing the United States and growing it and securing it. But that's not his perspective. His perspective is that he's a total success in his ongoing efforts to transform America. And in the process of transforming it, i.e. changing it, it has to get worse. By definition, what Obama wants to do is turn this country more leftward. By definition, that's going to make it worse. There's nothing good in liberalism. You can go around the world and look at it. You can look at every derivative of liberalism you want. You can socialism, you can communism, you can look at totalitarianism, whatever derivative, and there isn't one successful example anywhere, aside from the leaders of these various countries, and they're all dictators or tyrants. But it doesn't work for the people. Liberalism does not improve the lives of the majority. It improves the lives of the elites. It improves the lives of the chosen, the selected few who are acknowledged to be at the upper strata of society. It is they who are taken care of. Everybody else experiences worsened and declining existences.